Hello, welcome to the award-winning Hotline Live with Record Sport. I'm Daniel Conn. I'm delighted as ever.
You're John Terry.
The one and only Keith Jackson is with me, as you can see. Keith, how's it going?
Yeah, great. I'm in the Turkish steam room at Daily Record Towers, frazzling away here. So let's make this quick before I collapse.
I'm glad to hear it. No.
Absolutely roasting.
We're hopefully going to be joined at some point by colleagues in Denmark, Michael Gannon and Craig Swan, or one or the other, ahead of Celtic's clash tomorrow night against Midtjylland.
It's a packed show tonight, Dan.
It's very packed indeed. Hopefully we can talk more about the game in depth with those guys. But another Celtic thing that I wanted to get your take on, Keith, is Craig Bellamy. He's come out. He's come out after our chat last night. In fact, should we hear what Bellamy had to say for himself rather than me butchering it? Let's see what he says.
To be like, I can understand the links because I played there. I'm coaching, so I definitely understand the links. But to me, I love what I'm doing at this present moment. I have to be honest. I'm completely focused on what's to come. It's going to be a playoff in March. We know that. And to me, that's all I'm focused on. And I know it's a little bit cliche, but it's the honest truth. I enjoy speaking to yous. I enjoy this, honestly. I couldn't want for anything more than what I have at this present moment. And that's where it lies with me. It doesn't, anything else is just not, it's not on my radar. And it won't be on my radar. I'm like a real proud Welshman. I don't believe anyone's as proud of being Welsh as me, and I feel we all feel the same. You know, we all have that. This has made it even more. It really has. You know, like last week, where were we?
Bangor, Pontiac Theatre.
Yeah, like we like a road show.
Yeah.
And I fall in love with the country even more and more and more. So I'm grateful for what I have at this moment.
Craig Bellamy there, Keith. I know he is kind of pouring cold water on the suggestion, but kind of stop short of saying,
Nah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think you can over egg it just in the way that he did there emotionally, in terms of I'm such a proud Welshman and I fall in love. You can't come out and say that and then take the Celtic job. So look, what do we know? Factually, what do we know? I can say quite categorically that Bellamy's name featured high on the original list of potential candidates which have been drawn up, or targets which have been drawn up by Paul Tisdale at Celtic. He's a guy that really interested Celtic. I think there was a bit of back channeling, and I'm not sure how far it went. If it got off the ground at all. There was obviously the appointment of Martin O'Neill. I don't know. I just wonder if there's been reason for everybody just to walk away a little bit. Again, it feeds into this. Are they going to just let Martin O'Neill run with it? Was Craig Bellamy a person of interest for Celtic? Absolutely. Do I believe, after hearing that Craig Bellamy could run out on Wales? He could never go back if he did. Now, is he now looking at it going, will they give it to Martin O'Neill? Was that his dream scenario? But even if it was, Daniel, Celtic couldn't allow that. Celtic couldn't say, yeah, you just stay at Wales, and if you get to the World Cup, that's great. Go to the World Cup. What? Then come back and take the team, start taking the team when pre-season's already started, when you're only a couple of weeks away from potential Champions League qualifiers. No, I just... That today put the tin lid in it, and it's interesting because you sometimes with these things you think it's maybe been said for a reason. I think there was an initial interest on both sides, but I think you can draw the line under it after that. I can't see how it could go any other way. Certainly Celtic can't afford to wait for an indefinite length of time, and I don't think that, having said what he said as passionately as he just said it, I think he would lose all credibility if he now, jumped onto a different course. I think he's just staying at Wales now, and Celtic will have to go somewhere else for the long-term solution.
Speaking of Celtic, as you can see on your screen, we're joined now by Record Sports' Craig Swanee, how's it going?
Hi, gents. How are you? Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us all the way from
You're
Denmark.
looking better than you did last night, Swanee. I don't know if you saw the video that we got, but the pair of you looked like a pair of Donald Trumps. The trumpettes.
Oh, I heard about
Very
your
orange.
What should I be saying? Jesus burying the wee donkey or something? Is that what I'm supposed to be saying? I heard. Don't worry, I'll get my spies back to Scotland.
That's right. Yeah.
For the record, I don't know what happened to that. When we recorded it, Swanee, it was perfect.
Yeah.
I would take up with that tricky producer Henrik. But anyway.
I know, but it doesn't take away from Swanee's Ted Hastings impersonation.
Very good, I thought.
We were just talking about Craig Bellamy there, Swanee. Obviously, you're out there for the Celtic game tomorrow night. He seems to have distanced himself really from the Celtic manager's chat. Was he someone that you thought might have been a good fit?
Yeah, I like the idea of it. I like the thought of him. I think we spoke about it on the Celtic podcast, Daniel. That he was a guy who was quite fascinating. I think players were really taken to him, and in the Wales squad, and he seemed to have a really, listening to him talk about football. And one of the things I saw him do recently just sounded like a really intriguing guy, But I think, as you lads have alluded to, that one's not going to happen. So it would have been nice. He would have been an interesting guy, but you could cross that one off the list.
Cross that one off the list, Swanee, but it kind of feeds into this narrative of Martin O'Neill might be hanging around for a little bit longer than everybody thought. Martin O'Neill will be hanging about, possibly including Martin O'Neill. Yeah,
quite possibly. Keith, listen, we've talked a lot about this, haven't we, over the last sort of 48, 72 hours since the game at Hampden, and obviously Celtic have had the bounce that I think everybody thought they might get. And again, I touched on this last night. I'll repeat myself: Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney.
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing to say. There's certainly. Listen, we keep saying it. Martin and Sean have bought Celtic time. That's what they've done. They've bought them time. It looks like they've bought them time. We don't know how the next two games are going to go. You know how fickle football is, guys. Celtic don't get out in Midtjylland and we're to lose at home at Kilmarnock on Sunday. The entire Celtic support screaming for the new manager to be in by Monday morning. So you know how these things go. At the moment, it looks like you're in a situation where Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney are buying Celtic time. So it's just, can they keep the momentum going? Can they keep it going forward? And just keep kicking the can down the road, if you like, and give Celtic more chance to get exactly the man that they want.
What constitutes a good result tomorrow night, Swanee?
I think getting something out of the game. The general consensus, Keith, seems to be that given the position in the group and obviously the losing the home game to Braga, that Celtic are going to need to, to pull a rabbit out of one of the games where it's not really expected. And obviously with Midtjylland being top of the entire league, then this looks like a tough one to win. But the feeling is that it might be one they have to win. I think just keeping the momentum of performance going, getting something positive, even a point, keeps them in it and just keeps that positivity alive. But in terms of maybe advancing in the competition, they might have to win it, and that's not going to be an easy thing to do because this Midtjylland team are full of confidence. We spoke to their camp today. The manager, Mike Tilburg, used to play at Hearts, and you could just sense a positivity within them. Very respectful towards Celtic. That's what he said. But he said, but we're concentrating on our own team. And why shouldn't they? 3 games, 3 wins. They're flying, and if they get a win themselves, they're just about through. So it's a massive game for them. So I think if Celtic are to have designs on making any sort of advancement in this competition, they really have to be winning here. But as we've seen from the results in the table so far, that is not going to be an easy job.
Have you heard, Swanee, yet from the Celtic camp, Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney?
Yeah. Martin O'Neill's just been in. Kasper Schmeichel's been in as well. Obviously, quite a fanfare coming back to his home country, and obviously it's his birthday today. 39, so there's a lot of the local media over here speaking to Kasper and getting various parts of his views. So yeah, Celtic will just keep maintaining that positivity that they've had for from the last couple of games, and it's just a case, as we spoke about, we're just trying to keep pushing it forward. They just think that it just feels like camp just feel like more energised. It was interesting listening to the Midtjylland manager today, who said the two things he's noticed most from the last two Celtic games are additional energy and additional power. That was the two things he said. And he said that sometimes you get that. You said, I played football myself, and sometimes when you get a new manager, that's the two things you get. And that's what he's noticed the most from Celtic. So, yeah, Celtic are positive, and why shouldn't they be after the last couple of games? And obviously, the game at Hampden on Sunday, everything goes around, not just the result, but everything, the team that they beat, and the reward at the end of it for the final is just giving them a massive loss. So, yes, Celtic are positive as well.
And Martin O'Neill, was it textbook kind of match day -1 stuff from Martin, deferential, talking about how good the team Midtjylland are, and he's got that way about it. I can't imagine that he's going in there saying anything other than, "Oh, guys, this is a right good side that we're up against here." No, almost talking himself down.
Yeah, and of course, Martin's got first-hand experience of it, because I think he already alluded to the fact that he saw one of your other former clubs, Nottingham Forest, Midtjylland, win there. I think he was at the game, or he did the game, so he's well aware of the strengths that they've got, the power they've got, and the talent that they've got. So, yeah, he was about it, and he spoke about those things. Obviously, it was very complimentary about the hosts. And again, it comes back to the fact: why shouldn't you be take one look at the league table? You can't be anything else.
We've got plenty of comments coming in, guys, on the Celtic game tomorrow night. Before we let you go, Swanee, I'll maybe get your take on them, if that's okay. This one, Daz says, spot on, Keith. Bellamy had to stay. I had to say that today. It feels like O'Neill will mind the shop until Bellamy is free. Mark says tomorrow will be pivotal as to whether Martin O'Neill stays on till December or not, I think. Sean says, I think draw tomorrow will be a good result. Talk a must win is nonsense. And John also says Bellamy is totally unqualified to manage Celtic. And this final one, John says, there's no rush to change things. If O'Neill and Martin, I think he means obviously Maloney, keep getting results and get us back on track, why change it again suddenly?
Yeah, I just think there's if that's the attitude towards it, then that's almost living hand to mouth, isn't it? As long as the results keep coming, that's great. We'll just keep them in charge. You either decide that they're staying or you move on. You don't do it on a result-to-result basis. So you're changing from so they can't. That can't be the situation. Sure, I said they keep winning games, it buys some more time, but I think I also made the point, you can't just do this indefinitely. Oh, okay, right, we can delay it again because that's another couple of good results over the week. It can't be like that. Celtic, I think that they will reach a point, I would imagine, and it could be during the international break. I'm not sure. It depends exactly what they're looking at, but there will have to come a point where they say, right, you guys are in charge at the end of the season, or here's a new manager. That's what I think. I don't think you can just keep going, okay, we'll push it back another fortnight, I don't think you can do that. I think you have to make a definitive call one way or the other.
I'm guessing I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway, Swanee. Is there any chance of a little bit of sentimentality creeping into it now that Martin O'Neill has got Celtic into a cup final? Is there any chance that people look at it and go, well, he deserves that crack at Hampden at the very least?
Keith, I can't speak for inside what's happening in the boardroom. I don't know. Do I think that? Yes, I probably do, because he's such a legend of the club, and I'm quite sure there is a part of. I think everyone or the majority of the ones that are in the boardroom will know exactly what Martin O'Neill's all about and know him, and obviously are friendly with him. And yeah, I'm sure there will be a little bit of that, but I think there needs to be some cold, hard, concrete thinking about this one. This sentimentality. You need to.
Just think it's a great commercial opportunity, though. Just think about the DVD sales and all that.
Tracky sales.
Copa sales, quite right.
Yeah. Martins on the
in the comments, just finally, Sean says, Celtic are too big a club to wait 6 or 7 months for anyone, couple of months tops, but we need a permanent manager in by January. That kind of chimes with what you've been saying, Swanee, which I think makes sense.
Yeah, that's my own feeling. And if that's not what it's going to be, then come out very shortly and say Martin and Sean are going to have it for the rest of the year.
Swanee, before you go,
in this, infinity can't happen.
Before you go, Swanee, can you give us an update on what the squad's looking like, options in attack? I know that Callum Osmond has got through a sort of a UEFA loophole to get himself into the squad, replacing Cameron Carter-Vickers. Is he an actual there?
No, not ready yet. Not ready yet. Alistair Johnson not ready yet either. So it'll be Johnny Kenny, Osmond, and Dyson Maida will be the choices.
And finally, Swanee, predictions. How do you think tomorrow night will go?
I think Celtic, with this momentum they've got, they're obviously going to carry it into the game, and I think it might be enough to get them something. I think I've said in the paper tomorrow, I think it could be a 1-each draw. I mean, Hibs got a 1-each draw here in the summer in the qualifiers, and I think Celtic can hope to get that as well. Listen, they'll be trying all out to win it, and I don't think it's insurmountable. I think they can win it. You know, Midtjylland have started well, but you know, with the greatest of respect, we're not talking Real Madrid here. You know, I think Celtic could, you know, if they hit their straps, can win this game. My suspicion is it'll be a 1-each.
Well, what's the place like, Swanee?
Very nice, Keith. Yeah, quaint, quiet. Yeah, it's nice. That's fine. Do you mean the stadium or do you mean the town itself?
No, the town.
It's quite quiet, mate. It's quite small and quite quaint, but yeah, it's nice. You've
no underbelly.
I know not of which you speak.
Marzuno says, what temperature is it? Is it hot, Swanee?
Well, it's hot now because I've got this giant jacket on inside, stupidly. I don't know why, because I went outside to film. I couldn't get the proper light, and I came back inside it, and now I'm literally my hair is sweating. So the temperature at the moment's about 1 million where I'm standing, but it's quite chilly outside. So if we can get this over with before I melt and just slide down these stairs, then that'd be quite good.
Well, we'll let you. On that note, we'll let you go, Swanee.
Thank you.
Hope it's an absolute cracker for you tomorrow night, and safe travels up the road when the time comes.
Thank you. I'll speak to you soon, boys.
Cheers, Swanee.
Cheers, Swanee.
Craig Swan in Denmark there, Keith. And I should say for everyone watching at home that our screens are playing up a little bit. I'm not entirely sure why.
That.
But we apologise for that. We'll try and keep our eye on it. But it's going to be a really hard game for Celtic tomorrow. But as Swanee said, I mean, no disrespect to Hibs, but if Hibs almost put them out, got a draw over there, you know,
I think Midtjylland are a decent side. They're a very decent side, but they're not unbeatable. They've got off to a flyer in the group stages. It's impressive that they're sitting top after 3 games. But I'm like Swanee. I've actually tipped, funnily enough, a 1-1 draw for this game. But I don't think it's impossible for Celtic to get. I mean, I caveat all that, of course, by saying that this isn't Celtic at full strength. I think at full strength, I might actually even fancy Celtic to go and get all 3 points. So, considering the problems that Martin O'Neill's wrestling with in terms of selection and players missing, I think a 1-1 draw represents a decent result for Celtic. But it obviously doesn't make getting out of this league section all that much easier. Celtic really could do with 3 points with that in mind. But I guess if you're Martin O'Neill right now, you know, are you realistically looking at Europe as something that's a driving kind of factor just now? I guess not. I guess that domestically, that's where his bread and butter will be. So yeah, 1-1 draw would be my prediction. But you know, if Celtic have a really good night, they could help themselves to something better than that.
Yeah. The last little bit of Celtic stuff, Keith, that I want to get your take on, the ticket allocation for the Premier Sports Cup final is out. Rab is one of a number of people watching at home to highlight it. It says, seen the ticket allocation for the final, St Mirren up to 17,000. That's a joke. Surely if you get you should get the same amount as sold in the semi-finals, get the stadium full. And for anyone that doesn't know, St Mirren have been handed 9,500 tickets up front, and if sales go well, apparently, they could get up to 17,000.
I don't see what the problem is with that. I do have sympathy with Celtic fans and with Rangers fans when it comes to finals and semi-finals at Hampden and the allocations, because they will argue, and quite rightly so, that you know there's 40, 50,000 of them going week in, week out, putting their money into the Scottish game, and when they get to a final, all of a sudden people that go to the games every week can't get in, and so I've got enormous sympathy from that respect. However, I do think, you know, where possible, when you're using Hampden as a neutral venue for a final, if a club, and I think they've done it quite well actually, you know, credit to them for it. I quite like that. Here's a bunch of tickets. It's a decent number. And by the way, if you shift them all, we'll give you some more. I like that. I don't see what the problem is. And you know, as much as I have sympathy for fans who go and spend their money week in, week out, and there will be, it does mean there would be fans getting into the stadium on the other side who aren't, you know, going week in, week out. They aren't regularly contributing. But you know, it's a cup final. I imagine there'll be St Mirren fans coming from all over the place. You know, guys who, you know, will make this a sort of bucket list occasion. So yeah, good luck to them. I hope St Mirren manage to shift the whole lot, because it'll also make for a great atmosphere in the final itself.
Before that, though, obviously the other big Europa League game tomorrow night is Rangers against Roma. I understand, Keith, you caught up with Andy Newport a little bit earlier on to talk all things Rangers.
I did.
Should we hear what you had to say?
Well, I already have, but if you want to hear it, then play it.
If I could hear it, that would be great.
Okay, then. I'm joined by Andy Newport from Ibrox. Andy, I think you're down there just ahead of the Roma press conference tonight with Gianpiero Gasparini.
Yes.
But you've double dunting because you were at Auchenhowie earlier for the Rangers presser. What was the top lines out of that? I believe that Danny Rohl was asked again. The kind of fallout over the stuff from Hampden hasn't gone away.
Yeah, that was obviously the main topic of conversation. Mohamed Diamande was up as well, and you can imagine the guys, my colleagues and I, we tried our best to get them to discuss matters at Hampden. They weren't too keen initially. They tried to bat it away, but eventually we got out of Danny Rohl that he was, you know, he found it hard to understand the decision that was reached at the weekend with obviously the incident involving Jack Butland and Austin Trusty. You know, he clearly feels that it should have been a red card. The club have obviously made their feelings clear over the week with that statement that came out on Monday night. A lot of fans still not entirely convinced that that's a strong enough response. I think they want to see the club go stronger. But you know, for Danny Rohl's part, you can understand from him, he's not wanting to go on too strong. He knows that if he was to go any stronger, it might risk, you know, some sort of punishment. He also wants to know that he also knows that the club, you know, the team, there's bigger issues than this, than the odd referee's mistake. You know, this is a Rangers team that gets so much work for it to be done on it before it can be competitive. So you know, that's where he's putting his focus. That's the things that he can control. So that was the sort of his line of answers today.
Yeah, it's fine for us guys in the media to try and rip the arse out of it for a few days, but I think he's probably got to get his attention and his head switched on to tomorrow night, because if Rangers are going to do anything in this group, if they're going to have any chance of getting into the knockout stages, Andy, they're going to have to get some points on the board, and it's going to have to start tomorrow. Yeah,
I mean, I think the usual benchmark is something like 10 points gets you through. I think last year that would have been good enough. I think there was a couple of teams that maybe just missed out when they got that, but I think 10 points is the minimum you need to be aiming for if you're going to have any ambitions of getting through to the knockout stages. So, listen, the second bottom of the table, they have 0 wins from 3. They need to start picking up points pronto. So tomorrow, I say it's going to be a tough task. I mean, yeah, Roma, they've not had a great start either, to be fair. They've got 1 win from 3. They lost to Victoria Pilsen, who obviously Rangers faced earlier on in the Champions League qualifiers, and beat quite comfortable here at Ibrox. But they're doing well in Serie A. They're all, I think, they're only a point off the top. So there's certainly no mugs, as they say. That's the old phrase. But listen, I think if Rangers can get even a point here tomorrow, it might just be enough just to kick-start them. You know, they're short in wiggle room. They've not got much, you know, room for manoeuvre when it comes to losing any more games. I think another win might just be fatal another defeat. Might be fatal just with the confidence sapping nature of it. But you know, they really need to start picking up not just points but victories as well.
Yeah, in terms of injuries and kind of fallout from the weekend, anything there? I mean, I was very confused by the decision to substitute Raskin before the extra time period at Hampden at the weekend. Andy, is he carrying something? Did Danny Rohl mention anything about that?
There was no real discussion of the team news other than just to say that Lyle Cameron, his omission from the team at the weekend was selection rather than injury enforced. In terms of Raskin, I agree with you. I thought he was terrific in the second half. I thought he was one of the major contributors to Rangers' second half performance. It gave him a fighting chance of getting a result at Hampden. I think I do remember him sort of limping. I don't know if it was a wee bit of cramp or.
I think he's got an ankle problem, Andy.
Say that again, sorry.
I think he might have an ankle problem and a kind of ongoing issue with an ankle, I think.
Certainly no mention of that today. Obviously, I think it was took part in training. I saw him driving out the training ground actually after the press conference. So no mention from Danny Rohl. From our first few brushes with the new Rangers manager, I'm not entirely sure he's the most forthcoming with team news. Anytime we've tried to get out of him so far, he's not been in a desperate rush to tell us his squad. But yeah, we'll need to wait and see tomorrow if the bold Nico strips up.
And there's injury issues for Roma to concern themselves with as well. I think Gasparini's going to have to rejig his front line for this game. And he, by the way, he's an entertaining character. You'll enjoy meeting him in your presser later. What if anything do we think we can expect from them? With Paulo Dybala obviously missing out, Andy.
I mean, I think it's going to be intriguing just to what degree they're putting their focus into this game, as you say.
Yeah.
The results so far would suggest to you that this isn't their main priority for the season. That they're, given where they're sitting in Serie A, they've got more pressing domestic matters to focus on. But I think you also have to remember that for as big a club as Roma are, they're not perennial winners by any stretch. I think a couple of Serie A titles maybe. I think they won the Conference League 2-3 years ago under Jose Mourinho, but that was like a very rare trophy win for them. So it will be interesting to see if they actually are going to come out here and go all guns blazing. This is a tournament that they've got big interest in. So, but in terms of how they go about taking on Rangers, I think they've got enough quality in there that they shouldn't be fearing this Rangers teams of all Rangers teams. And it's just interesting even just speaking to Danny Rohl, though. I mean, he was talking about the Leipzig game. Obviously, he, a former Leipzig coach himself, who's remembering the scenes here 3 years ago when Rangers reached the final, and he said he'd been contacted by some of the Leipzig players who played that night just to tell him, "Wow, you're going to be in for something special if you can get this sort of place rocking again." But now Rangers are a million miles off at that kind of stage right now. I mean, the three performances they've had in the league phase of the Europa League so far have been just hopeless so far. I mean, I think losing it again was bad enough. The performance at Sturm Graz was absolutely abject, and it was even worse in Norway. I was over with Scott McDermott just over a week ago in Bergen, and you can let Danny Rohl off because he'd only been basically in the job for 48 hours. But I mean, I think if he didn't know what he was getting himself into before then, he certainly did after the game. Yeah,
it's interesting that you say that about the atmosphere, Andy, because Thursday nights were Rangers nights, weren't they? That was what they said under the lights. They liked this competition. They've had some excellent performances. Ibrox is absolutely bouncing. It really comes alive. It's not been like that this season for obvious reasons. But I just get the feeling if Danny Rohl can get a result and a performance out of his team against Roma, it could be the spark. It could bring it back, and it could come back really, really quickly if that was to happen.
Yeah, I think the one thing you can say about Rohl's tenure so far is that he's reconnected with the fans. The fans are singing his name. That never ever happened to Russell Martin in the short time.
Just a very short chant.
In the very in the short time you've seen it, I think fans are already seen that there's progress made. And I was saying this to Scott earlier on. I think the one thing you can be absolutely certain of, that had they actually went with Rohl at the start of the season, I'm not saying they're going to be challenged. I'm not going to say they're going to be going for Europa League, knockout stages and runs deep in that. But I think you can be safe to say that things wouldn't be anywhere near as bad as they are right now had they went with him. I think the fact that he's shown that he can be pragmatic, he's shown that he can get more out of a group of players that have been failing miserably so far, that he can get some fight out of them, he can get them to run. I think that bodes well for them, and I think if you can get a result here tonight, then that might just be the spark that really unites the fans with the team again, because it has been disjointed. The fans haven't enjoyed seeing what the team have been producing. They've been at loggerheads with the board. They were in outright opposition to Russell Martin, but so finally with Danny Rohl coming in, there is a wee bit of a sense of unity again around the place. But as I say, it's early doors, and they really need to go on some kind of run. Obviously, the league wins back to back against Kilmarnock and Hibs will have done wonders for morale. I think a lot of Rangers fans can, as much as it's always deflating to lose to Celtic, and especially in a game at Hampden with potential to get reaching a cup final, I think they can take heart from finally seeing some small signs of progress in a big game. But they need to back that up now, and if they can get a result here, even a point, I think would go a long way just to keeping things moving forward. And if they can just nurse things to January, get a couple of additions in, and maybe a strong finish to the season, tease them up for something on further down the road.
Yeah. All right, Andy, we're almost out of time. Of course, one last question. Give us your prediction for the game.
I went 1-1 in the prediction for tomorrow's paper, just on the basis that I still think the chronic lack of firepower at this team. I think Yusuf Chermiti is nowhere near good enough to be a Rangers centre forward. Bojan Miovski's failed to sort of rediscover his Aberdeen form, and Danilo might actually be their best option up front. But again, taking off at half time at the weekend, I just think that they're so lacking in goals right now that I think a 1-1 draw is probably the best they can hope for.
Andy Newport there, Keith. I'm glad that I heard that. That was good. David in the comments.
I'm glad you liked it.
I know you'll be chuffed that you've got my approval. David says Keith too much Old Firm, and I'm putting that up because we are going to speak about Aberdeen with Record Sports Scott Burns, who is in Cyprus. But before we do that, I understand we can hear a bit from the Rangers manager.
Okay, I see.
And fans are still very angry with some of the decisions from Sunday. The statement said that the club was unsatisfied with the explanation given by the head of refereeing. Can you tell us what that explanation was that the club got? Because fans would obviously like to know.
Yeah, I understand this. I think we spoke about two situations. Was the handball with the yellow card, or maybe the second yellow card? And then, of course, it was the kick against the head from Jack. I think you have always two sides. The ref says the sides, and they are looking for the rules, and we have our sides, how we see something. I think for me, it doesn't matter how, if there's a kick against the head, then you have to be really careful what you're doing there, and I think this is maybe for me a little bit too difficult to understand. For me, it doesn't matter if it's from the side or in front. A kick against the head is always dangerous because you could try to get injury from your opponent. I think this is a little bit difficult. But the handball, okay, then I think there's so many rules with the handball. It's this angle, it's this angle. But the tackle was difficult to understand. But again, we got the red card. The opponent didn't. We tried our best, and after 19 minutes, you must say, even with the red card, we took it wrong. But it was still not enough.
He said after the game at the weekend, Keith, that he doesn't talk about referees and that, but didn't hold back there.
Well, he did hold back, really, didn't he? I mean,
hold back.
He really didn't want to be answering that question. You can see that he's not. Yeah, I don't think he's making a fuss about it. It's Rangers, as usual, making the fuss. What they're trying to gain out of it, I don't know. We've all looked at it. We've all had a say. I think the vast majority of us agree that Austin Trusty should have been sent off. We all agree, or certainly the vast majority agree, that our referees are really struggling. With basically doing their jobs and communicating properly with VAR. It is a mess, but it's not just a Rangers mess. It's not just a mess that affects them. And I think that's the problem. Is there a belief at Rangers that there's some sort of conspiracy against them? Is there a belief at Rangers that everybody's out to get them? I don't know. I would like to think not, but it has been like that for a number of years now, and that's probably a kind of symptom of years and years of the other team in town dominating, because it was like that. You could have flipped it over the other side when Rangers were knocking off one trophy after the next. That was the accusation level at Celtic, paranoid, think everybody's out to get them, and now it's gone full circle, and that's now a Rangers issue. I don't think as a manager there he's looking to make that big of a deal, although he's quite right in saying that if somebody kicks his goalkeeper in the head, he would expect a red card. I don't see a problem with it.
We are joined now, all the way from Cyprus, by Record Sports Scott Burns. Burnsy, you're there for the Aberdeen game tomorrow night in the Conference League. Tell us we're going to get a result. The coefficient needs it.
We're going to get a result. They have to mean it. They have to back it up. I'm just following.
You were fooling nobody, Burnsy.
It will take an almighty result and performance by Aberdeen to get something tomorrow night. I'm talking about a Cypriot team who have beaten AZ Alkmaar and Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park in the last two games in the Conference League. So that shows you the magnitude of who Aberdeen are up against. And
we seem to have lost Burnsy there in mid-conversation.
Did you pull the plug on him there?
I didn't touch anything, I promise. Hopefully he'll come back on in a minute. But what I was going to ask you and Burnsy, Keith, about Aberdeen is, do you think secretly... Oh, hang on, there's Burnsy there.
Didn't like the Wi-Fi there.
You're back, Burnsy. We lost you there for a second.
The Cypriot Wi-Fi obviously is not any better than my neighbours.
Either that, or you're still trying to hack into your neighbours from Cyprus.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. It's a secret. No, what I don't know. I've obviously got lost. I mean, my probably got cut off. I mean, Larnaca have beaten AZ and Crystal Palace in both games. Aberdeen have still to register a point. So I think the smart money would be on the Cypriots taking all 3 points tomorrow night. But what I would say is that Aberdeen have improved domestically. I mean, obviously they couldn't get worse with the start they've made, but they've improved domestically. It's whether they can transfer that into the European arena. It's definitely a step up, but as it stands, it's looking. I don't think there's many Aberdeen fans expecting much tomorrow night, but they're certainly looking for an improved performance in what they saw out in Athens, which was a bit of a disaster, a bit of an eye-opener.
I mean, see, given that result in Athens, Burnsy, and this is for you as well, Keith, I want to get your guys' take on this. I get it's really depressing, a really glass half full take, but do you think privately Jimmy Tillin probably wishes he didn't have this competition to deal with?
Well, on you go, Burnsy.
I was going to kick that off because obviously I've just spoken to Jimmy there on the pre-match press conference. In fairness to Jimmy, and I mean, and Aberdeen, they've got the draw from hell in this Conference League. I mean, the worst 6 teams they probably could have got. So anything they take's a bonus. But he was very bullish at the press conference. I mean, it wasn't so much can you pick up points or win the game tomorrow night. He's very much of the opinion over the last 4 games that they can still qualify from the Conference League, which is big talk, and it'll take a mighty turnaround. So that shows where he's coming from. So if you're suggesting that you'd rather he could do without it, certainly publicly, it's a very different message.
You were going to say something, Keith?
What's the point in everybody celebrating, trying to get qualification for European competition, and invariably most of our teams get papped out, before the big clubs are even back off the beach. So we've been crying out for more teams into group stage football because that's where the money's at. There's a trickle down effect. That's what we've got to aim. We've got to aim to get as many of our clubs competing as regularly as possible in these European groups, because it just makes Scottish football a healthier place financially. It is embarrassing right now. Embarrassing to look at the Conference League and see Aberdeen sitting at the bottom of the pile. It's embarrassing to look at the Europa League and see Rangers in the same position. And you hope that over the course of the next few weeks they can get some results. They can make it look a lot more respectable. Even if Jimmy Tillin's asking for a bit much by thinking Aberdeen can still qualify, I don't think that's going to happen. And I would go a little bit further than that. I think Burnsy's absolutely right. I've gone for 3-1 for Larnaca tomorrow night, and I think that just about finishes Aberdeen off. It's not going to improve their standing. They'll be very lucky if anybody else is performing worse than that. So I think the agony is likely to continue for Aberdeen, but you hope somewhere along the line they can pick up some points, and you hope that Scottish clubs start to realise what an opportunity that they've got in European football, and raise the ambitions, raise the sort of level. Hearts are doing their bit this season, and you look forward to next season they might be able to do something. But yeah, it's a bit of an ordeal. It's a bit of a trauma right now. I don't expect it to get any better if truth be told, for Aberdeen tomorrow night. But you know, Burnsy will be there, and Burnsy will keep us posted with every kick of the ball.
What's your prediction, Burnsy? How do you think it'll go?
I'm too bad. I'm looking for the number for the Samaritans after listening to Keith.
It's murder, innit?
How do I think it'll go? Like, I think Lanark will win 2-3-1 maybe, but I think it'll be a lot tighter than people maybe are expecting. And I think that even if Aberdeen can put in a performance, I mean, they did all right against Shakhtar Donetsk. I know they lost 3-2, but if they can put in a decent display, it gives them some hope going into back-to-back home games where they've really got to pick up points against, you know what I mean? In these next two games, come back to Pittodrie against Noah, etc. So, and Strasbourg, which are both big asks, but at home is probably their best chance of picking up these points. But if they get in tonight, it would be tomorrow night. I would have to say it'd be a bonus and it'd be a big boost to Aberdeen.
I appreciate your predictions, guys, but it's going to be 1-0 to Aberdeen, short Armstrong volley, so you can take that to the bank. That's happening.
Yeah.
You're very well.
What odds are we getting on that?
I need to look that up, Burnsy, actually. That's definitely worth a 50 pence or something, isn't it?
If it doesn't come true, then are you obviously covering our bets?
Burnsy, you're breaking up there, mate. Sorry, we can't quite. Burnsy, we will let you go from the hotline live on that note. Hope it's an absolute cracker for you, whatever happens, and safe travels up the road when the time comes.
All the best. Thanks, lads. Take care.
Enjoy your night tonight, Burnsy.
Quiet one as usual.
Of course.
Scott Burns there, Keith. Look, I know we're kind of laughing at it, but we need, honestly, it's so. See,
I'm not laughing. It's not a laughing matter, Daniel. It's chronic.
Given how obsessed we are with football, I mean, football is, everywhere in Scotland. You'd think we'd be a bit better at it, frankly.
Yeah, and you keep thinking that we're turning a corner, and then we do turn the corner, and then we get smacked in the face by a juggernaut. And that's what's happened in this campaign so far for both Rangers and Aberdeen. Celtic are not doing particularly tremendously well either. How good would it feel if by some freak turn of events we get 3 victories tomorrow?
Amazing.
I mean, that would just give everybody a real shot in the arm, as highly unlikely as that would be.
Sean in the comments saying he's tempted to go for 3 wins tomorrow night. The coefficient needs it. I would like some of your confidence, Sean, but who knows? Maybe it will be. I am actually intrigued to see. You mentioned Hearts there, Keith. I'm intrigued to see how they get on in the Champions League next season. That'll be really interesting.
By the way, don't rule it out. Don't bet against Tony Bloom. I mean, that's one thing we should mention. Hearts have released their figures, their financials. And that, again, is just another pointer to a club that is on the up. I think the turnover for the year is £24.4 million. I think there was an operating loss, fairly insignificant, about 400,000, and especially insignificant when you consider that Tony Bloom's 10 million investment isn't factored into the 24.4 million turnover. So, again, really positive signs for a club which is has come racing out the traps this season under Derek McInnes. Derek McInnes asked some questions today. Are you the best side in Scotland? He played it with a very straight bat. Right now, the league table says that we are, but it's over the course of a season. And Derek McInnes will just do this consistently. He'll play it all down. He's not going to say, "Nah, we're rubbish and we're not going to." But his messaging is really clever. I think he says what his players will want to hear inside the dressing room, what the fans want to hear in the stadium, and he's not going to get trapped into saying something outlandish or outrageous that people can batter him over the head with 5 months down the line. He's got everything in hand, and he's acting like a guy that's been in this movie before, because he has.
It's weird to think, Keith, this week last year, Hearts were bottom of the league.
It's an astonishing turnaround.
It's mad. Extraordinary.
It's an astonishing turnaround. But, I have to tell you, when that Hearts job kept coming up, some of us did say, your man's right there. It's right in front of your face. So Hearts got there in the end, but they got there by default. And that has to be remembered. This could have been happening some time ago. Although I do think that Derek McInnes got his timing just right because he kind of just walked in the door at the same time as Tony Bloom, and I think it's just so encouraging for them. They really are the feel-good story of the season so far.
Absolutely. Aye, I think that brings to the end of tonight's Hotline Live with
Well,
Record Sport.
Not quite.
Not quite. Go ahead.
Well, there's a couple of things, isn't there?
Is there? I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I think Stephen Presley was doing a bit of press
course.
with Sky Sports today, and it was a unique look. I just thought that people might want to see it.
Aye, I mean, you say Stephen Presley. I think Santa Presley is probably a bit more. It's a bit more.
Yeah, bad Santa.
And obviously, they're playing Rangers at the weekend. I believe Dundee.
They are.
Took a point at Ibrox last time, so maybe
did,
Santa
and I'm actually hearing some noises out of Dens that he's going to go really attack minded on Sunday. So that'll be interesting. I think he's thinking about a front four of Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Blitzen.
Hey!
Good old Elvis, trendsetter.
I've remembered the other
the
thing.
Tayside trendsetter.
I've remembered the other thing now, Keith. The Scotland top.
Yes, Daniel.
What do you think?
How did you forget?
The new home Scotland top is out. Are you a fan?
I would prefer the badge to be where it normally is and the Adidas logo to be the other side. But look at that. That's class. Do you know what, Daniel? That deserves to be shown off at World Cup finals.
And it will be.
Here's hoping.
Fingers crossed. And just very briefly, the rumoured away kit. It's been leaked online. What do you think?
Well, when I first had a look at that, it's a bit washed out pink. I think I want to see the real version. And when I first looked at it, I wondered if they'd done one of those two-tone badges, which you can't stand. But if that is, and it looks on closer inspection as if it might be the kind of the proper traditional Scotland badge on it. Yeah. I do not have a problem. I believe it's not gone down too well. I don't mind it. It's kind of based on kind of Scotland away kits of yesteryear, isn't it?
I like it.
Even get the retro Adidas badge on it. As long as the badge isn't one of those two-tone things and it's the proper Scotland badge. I'm a great believer, Daniel, with kits. See, if the kit doesn't match the badge, then that's the designer's fault. You've made a mess of the kit. Go back and bring me back one that you can put my proper badge on. So as long as that's okay, yep, I quite like that Scotland home strip. I'll wait to see that one. Yeah, I want them. I want them showcased. I want them doing the catwalk at USA, Canada, and Mexico. That's what we need.
I want them on show in the US with me, you, and Scott in the stadium. That's the dream.
Stop hanging on about this. You're starting to feel a little bit needy.
On that note, I think that does this time bring us to the end of Wednesday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you for all the comments. Massively appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow, but at a later time of 10 p.m.
Oh, God, I forgot that.
A pyjama special. So that
are you going to come on right after the games, Dan? Or are you going to sit and watch the Traitors first? Join us.
I'll join you at midnight. Is that all right? No, I'll be there. Don't worry, I'll be there. I think we're aiming for 10 o'clock. Might be slightly after. But we'll be there to talk about all of the games involving Celtic, Rangers and Aberdeen. So we hope you can join us then.
Magic.
Thanks for watching. Hope you can join us tomorrow. Cheers.